Calum, it's a pleasure, mate, to have
It's a
you on the
pleasure,
show.
mate. How you doing?
I'm all right, brother. I'm all right. You are the first guest of 2026,
Oh, I'm
and
honored.
I told you, when we were just I don't know, like 20, 30 minutes ago, leading up to it, that I wanted to come back to this place. For those that may be new to this show or maybe new to Calum, I have shot in here for 2 to 3 years. Since 2022, we are at the original studio. This place is very dear to my heart. And I wanted to start off. I saw Outkast. I think it was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They had a speech, and Andre 3000 said great things start in small rooms.
Mm.
And that's all he could say. And after that, he just started crying.
Yeah.
And I think about this space and how small this space is, and my room and how small that space was, and maybe where you started, how small that space might be.
Mm.
When you hear small spaces make great things, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just love the quote. The quote is great. And then I think just my own origin. Like people see the show now, like the Callum Johnson show. They see it now, and the guests that we get, and the production, and I obviously this is we just got into 2026, and so even last week I was doing like a recap post on social media, and just kind of going back through and like seeing all of the cities and locations that I filmed at in the last year. But that experience is unrecognizable from how we began. Like the first episode that I ever recorded for the show was in my younger sister's bedroom at my mum's house in Jersey. No fancy equipment, literally a $70 microphone that I bought off Amazon, a $20 a month subscription to Riverside FM, and then my MacBook. Not even my MacBook. It was actually my workplace bought it. It was the MacBook that I had, and I was recording on their webcam. And yeah, like it started there, but like I think the important thing is I had such like a passion and such a love of the craft, and I got so much energy. And I think for anyone that's listening, it's really when you find your thing, because people will ask me that. I think people can feel it when you found like your purpose, like you're working on your calling. They can feel it in your energy and the way that you speak and your enthusiasm. And what I tell them is pay attention to the energy transference. Like when I remember it from the very first episode we did, when I would record the show and I would have those conversations, and like I say, it was just remotely at the time, I would leave on cloud fucking 9 from recording. And so to me, that was very instructive because I was only used to it the other way. I was used to, at the time, going to my corporate job, and you kind of wake up in the morning and you feel good, and maybe you have your coffee. I don't drink coffee, but probably people that are listening drink coffee. You feel good going into the office, and then you work your 8 hours and you feel depleted. You feel heavy, feels tough. And then you're sitting on your couch, you're putting the Netflix on, and you're like recovering from this experience. And that was my experience. But when I filmed the show, it was the opposite. I would come in feeling kind of tired because I would have worked. I would record in the beginning, like after work and on the weekends. So I'd come into the recordings tired, and I would leave the conversations on cloud 9. Like I'd feel like I could run through a wall. And so for me, it was instructive of like, oh, I found my thing. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. And so I think when you do that, it's like, yeah, 100%, like great things start in small rooms. Mm-hmm. But if you keep working at it with a consistency, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but if you keep working at it with a consistency, that small thing that like no one's really looking at, like, oh yeah, like have fun with your little podcast thing that you do, like your little podcast interviews, like how's that going? People will go from saying that to you to, it's respected and it's like legit. So.
Yeah, no, I do. That little podcast thing, that's something, because I think only people that are in the space or that create content really understand that it's just more than a podcast, that it's just more than creating content. Like it's something deeper than that. It's a deeper I don't know what it is. It's just something deeper that you just know that they can't understand or they can't see because it's not Joe Rogan or it's
Yeah.
not Chris Williamson. Like, it's not all of these bigger podcasts. It's just something that you're working on. So
Yeah.
it's like when they see that you're doing this thing, they think in their mind, like, it'll never be anything. And obviously
Mm.
you probably felt that when you were doing that. It's like, it'll never be anything. It'll never be successful. Whatever you're trying to do, it won't come into fruition. But like deep down, you have this just like weird knowing that you see what it can be. But
Yeah.
the other person can't really understand or comprehend what this finished outcome or product will be eventually in the future.
Yeah. You know what it is? Because I like 100%. Like I know exactly what it is. It's an expression of self. When you find your purpose or your calling or the thing that you like love more than anything. It's funny. I'm reading The Alchemist right now. He calls it your personal legend. Once you find that, the reason you care so much is an expression of self. It's deeply personal to you. And so to everyone else, it's like, oh yeah, like it's a little podcast or like, you know, the music producer that's like staying up too late and like sleeping in class because he's like making beats till 2 a.m. Or like the guy that just loves streaming and is like streaming every moment that he can. Like to everyone else, yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, like he just likes playing video games or like he just likes doing his little beats or whatever. But to that human being or to the person that's listening, is like it's deeply personal. It's an expression of self. It's like that's when you feel alive. And so I think if you have confidence and self-confidence, you see it almost as if like the music that I do is like it's like a part of me. And so if I believe in myself, I believe wholeheartedly in this music or this podcast or this streaming or this business, like whatever the thing is. And that's what it was for me. Like from an early point, it gets easier now, right? Like, you know, with the guests that we have on and like you start to get sponsors and like the world starts to validate your belief at a certain point. But even before that, I saw it as like, oh yeah, we're going to be one of the biggest shows. Because I knew that what I'd put in, I knew what I would dedicate to it.
Mm-hmm. And even in that though, sometimes where you're on that, I guess when you're on that journey, people, I think, have misunderstandings or a misconception that you fully 100% believe in yourself. And I think every day, right, like one day passes by and you hope to create something better, but then the next day is zero. And if you don't see that progress that you've made, like those small little steps, it can kind of be debilitating at times where you're on this journey and the only person that believes in it is you. And if you're the only person that's on the ship, it's just you. There's nobody else to be like, hey, can you help me with this? Hey, can you do that? So I think sometimes people have that understanding of like, oh, you have such undenying self-belief, but that's not always really the case. I think it's actually the opposite. I think we actually want to be perceived as confident in what we're doing, but deep down we have this like weird, at least for me sometimes, where I have this like weird doubt of like, will it actually work? Will I actually do the thing that I'm destined to do or that I know I can do? And I think that's sometimes the motivator as well. Is like, I'm just trying to beat myself. Like I'm trying to outrun myself, right? Like all the other whispers or opinions or voices don't really matter as much because I know that if I can beat this self-belief that I'm kind of questioning if I'm going to do it, then it's like all these other opinions don't really matter. But I think that's like that misconception that people have is that we think that we have it all figured out or we're the most confident people in the room. But sometimes it's actually the quite opposite.
Yeah. You know, my thing, and I think it's a great point that you make. My thing, I am so big on the decision. Like that's all it is for me. It's like you have to make the decision. And what I mean is people will ask about like confidence or were you always sure that this was going to be the case? People don't understand. And like I didn't understand this until I had it, which is things change when you make a decision, man. Like if you make the decision right now, you're like and I don't know what it is, but let's say someone that wants to do music, they produce music. They're like, I'm going to have a song that I produce that is on the Billboard 100 charts. Like, they make the decision. Like, in their mind, there is no space for like, this isn't going to happen. Then you will post the decision. You will do all of the necessary steps so that you can get in that place. I think a lot of the times it's, I speak with people, or even when I reflect on myself at like an earlier point, the reason why I hadn't been successful wasn't because, like, yes, I guess it is because of the inputs and the things I'm doing daily. But the reason I wasn't doing the things daily was I hadn't made the decision. Like, I see a lot of people that are, they're like flirting with it. You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of doing the podcast. They're like kind of doing music. You know, like, it's like you're flirting. Like, you know, you go to the bar sometimes. Sometimes you're playing around. You're like playing with your food, I guess we'd call it back home. And so, like, some weeks you post, some you don't, you know. Sometimes you have like social activities you want to go to. Like, you haven't fully decided and committed that you're going to do this thing. And I think once you make that decision, and even in my story, I put all the chips on the table, right? Like, not only was I doing it as like a side hustle for the first year that it was, we started in 2022, the show, interviewing entrepreneurs. And like I say, it was in my sister's bedroom. And remote recordings, did that for a year. And then in 2023, the beginning of the year, I quit my job and I did it full time. People don't understand this. We hear so many stories of the creators that like they were blowing up and things were going so well and they were making money from brand deals and the money was so great it like replaced their salary. That's the smart story. I did not do that. I had a show that was getting 100 downloads an episode, but I saw the vision. And so honestly, the biggest thing that I was afraid of was that I knew my potential and my talent in this craft. I was deeply worried that I wouldn't commit to it, and I would wait and I would keep doing it while I was doing my job. And the thing that I was deeply afraid of was someone else out there in the world, because this is how creativity works, is that if you do not action the idea and the inspiration that God or whatever you believe in, the universe has given you, someone else, some other individual will take that same inspiration, the same talent, everything. They will go make it happen. And then you'll have to watch someone else living your dream. And so I had to make a decision of like, am I going to quit the show has no traction, really. Like, I'm deeply grateful for those 100 people. Like, shout out to them that were watching back then. But like at that point, the show had no traction, right? But I had to still make a decision like, no, I'm going all in. And so I quit my job. I didn't sign onto a lease in Manhattan, even though I fucking loved living in Manhattan. I went back and I lived with my parents and was dead broke for a year building the show. But I'd made a decision that this was gonna be something, and then everything else like followed that.
Yeah, there's a couple. I guess first, there's two ways where I wanted to go with this. I guess number one, what was the commitment issue at that point in time? Like, what was the fear that you didn't want to commit to it?
At what point in time? Before I quit my job?
Yeah.
The thing I've realized about commitment, it's not black or white. Commitment can increase over time. At that time, I thought I was committing 100%, right? Like, I was doing my 9 to 5 at work, and then I would come home and I would have dinner. I'd maybe like watch TV for a half an hour, and then I would work on the show until I went to bed. So like I was doing that 5 days a week, and then I was working kind of like Sunday nights as well to like, because we put out episodes every Monday 8 a.m. But yeah, so like I was like at the time I was like, oh, I'm really committed to this. Like I'm doing it every week. We're getting guests, I'm making this happen. But there's levels to commitment, right? Like my big thing is I've always been inspired by the greats. So like I wanted to be a top 10. Like I'm going to be like a top 10 show on the planet, you know, like, but think about the level of commitment that Joe Rogan has to his podcast. Think about the level of commitment that Stephen Bartlett has to his podcast. These people have they have hundreds of people that work on it. They're spending millions of dollars on it. You know, they're flying around the world to do it. They have sponsors and media. Like there's levels to commitment, right? And so in the beginning, you're just trying to get your personal commitment to 100%. So I thought I was committed, but you know what? Let me explain it like this. I remember, and this is good actually, I haven't shared this. I remember around the time that I quit my job to do the show, so shortly before I'd actually made the decision to quit, I see this post, this reel on Instagram. It's like this psychologist, they're talking. And what they shared is that as humans, we only get 8 hours of productive time every day. We have 8 productive hours. 24 hours in a day, you have 8 productive hours. And then she goes on to say that the hour after you wake up, so what's best to do is wake up, then have like an hour, a free hour to kind of just, I don't know, fully kind of wake up, like kind of just spend time, you know, like, I don't know, read, go on a walk, like kind of just get ready for the day. And then after that hour, that's when you should use your 8 productive hours. She then goes on to say that for most humans, they wake up at 8 a.m. So an hour after 8 a.m. is 9 a.m. Then 8 hours of productive time, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. She then ends the video. She says, why do you think it's called a 9 to 5? What companies have done, which is very smart, is that they figured out that for most of the population, their most productive time is 9 to 5. So if you're working a 9 to 5, the decision that you've made through how you allocate time is that your job is the most important thing in your life, right? Your most productive hours are being leveraged at your 9 to 5. And that makes sense for like a company, right? So for me, I made the decision. I was like, why? If I'm really committed to this, how can I be really committed to a podcast? My most productive hours are working at this company in marketing. So I'm not. So I thought I was committed, but really, am I committed? So it's. I think the commitment increases over time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think also too, like you quit your job, you had no other choice but to go all in, right? Like you couldn't go back to the job, like, hey guys, like just kidding, I'm back. You know, You had to. When you commit to something like that and you leave the job and you leave Manhattan and you go back to your parents' house, like you had no other choice. That was the only choice that you had at that point in time.
Yeah.
I mean, surely you could have probably applied to other jobs, but you're like, no, I want to do this. I want to see how far this can go. I want to see where it can go. Yeah. And I think it was the no other choice aspect that like you understood. You woke up, you're like, fuck, I got to get to it today, because if I don't, then I just wasted my time. Literally, I wasted all my time today with something else that I could have done, or I could have made some money. Like all these things, like you fully bet on yourself. And I guess that's where the whole like stay delusional came from, is because like at that point you had to be delusional. There's no other thing that could cross your mind but the podcast.
Yeah. You know what's funny, because you say like I guess I could have called them off and been like, oh, I made a mistake. I feel like it'd be interesting if people can relate to this, that have like quit their job. But we live in New York, right? So most people that live in New York, it's an expensive city. So most people have a 9 to 5, right? Like it's not like Miami where we're doing like crypto and entrepreneurship or whatever they do over there. Like this is like a real reality over here.
Right.
And so I remember when I walked into the office, I was like so nervous. And I'm like set up a meeting with my manager so I can tell them like, yeah, I'm just quitting. And then obviously whenever you tell like I'm leaving or I'm handing in my notice, is I guess the work way to say it, they're always like, oh, like the natural question is like where are you going? Because everyone expects that you're going to another job. Like no one really like leaves their job. I remember I was talking to them. I was like, yeah, like I wanted to give my notice. They're like, oh yeah, what are you doing? I'm like, oh yeah, you know that podcast? Because people knew that I kind of did a podcast, but like they didn't know I was like that serious about it. Like everyone says that they do a podcast nowadays. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing the podcast. And there was like a hesitation, and they just look at me like, huh? And then the next, they didn't ask me this, but I can always, whenever I tell people, even in just my life now, they're always like, how does that like make money? You know, like I can tell they're like trying to figure it out. Like, what the fuck? Like, he's leaving to do a podcast. So it's kind of funny because I'm like, they wouldn't have been surprised if I called them up like 3 weeks later and it's like made a huge mistake.
Right.
But yeah, I think on your point, like, I am such a believer in human potential. Like, I don't think that we understand the ability, like the God-given ability we have as human beings. And what I mean is, it's actually very unique. I think we're the only species that can do this. Is we can have an idea, purely an idea in our mind. It can be fiction, doesn't exist, right? It doesn't exist in reality yet. But purely because we believe it and we act consistently against that, we can make it into a reality. And so I can't think of another species on this planet, right? Like, they can just have an idea and then make it real. Like, everything around us, like this studio, the buildings outside, the planes that go over. I took a subway train to get over here. All of that at one time was just like a fiction, like a piece of someone's imagination, a human being's imagination, which they made reality. And so for me, I am very big on, you have to tap into that instinct that we have as humans, which is when you put us against a wall and we feel like we have no other option, we can make some shit work. And so I will use that like strategically in my life. Like when I'm like, okay, I want this to be one of the biggest shows, I want this to be my life. It was part of my strategy. I was like, I'm just going to quit my job and give myself no other option. And I think, you know what, I like to be careful with that advice because like, you don't need to do that for everything. And you shouldn't even really do it frequently. But it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like, sometimes you have to make a decision. You know what I mean? Like, you have to really make a decision of like, what do I want? And you have to understand that it's going to take an extreme level of commitment to get that reality. Like, people don't live like this. You know what I mean? Like, there's not that many people I know that do a podcast full time. So if you're going to make that sort of decision, you're going to have to put extreme commitment because that's not something that's typical. It's not something that's normal. So I will put myself strategically in situations where it's like there's no other option. And when I do that, what I'm tapping into is something very human, which is when you put humans in a spot and we only have one option, we're going to figure out how to build the train track, how to build the plane, how to build the roads, like whatever. Like, that's what we've been doing. That's why humans dominate the planet. Like, that's something in us. And so I'll tap into that. Mm-hmm. I'm very like big on that. Like, yeah, sometimes you have to give yourself no other option.
Yeah. And I think now, as we've also entered the new year, there's always the people that do the New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I wanted to touch upon with you as well, because I don't know if that's... Well, let's first start off. Like, what are your thoughts on people that have New Year resolutions?
I think you have to do what works for you, honestly. I think that the thing that, like... it's funny, I was joking with my brother about this. It's important, you have to know yourself. That's really where it has to start. Like, you know, like a lot of my progress has come from learning myself, first and foremost, my habits, my behaviors, my actions. And then once I understand that, like learning how to get the result that I want off the back of that. And so I will speak with people. I don't know if I want to call him out, but I will speak with people that they will tell me, you know, I do music, like I produce music, been producing music for years, but haven't actually like published anything, or they've been doing a podcast, or like they do art but haven't posted it or like put it out there. And I can tell from listening to them speak, because I was in this place, that they are procrastinating they have a fear of judgment. They are procrastinating on releasing this. And they'll tell me things. It's always around November, December. oh, in the new year, oh, in 2026, I'm going to start doing this. And I'm like, I was having a conversation about this with my brother. It's, I don't believe in that. If you're going back to what I said earlier, if you've made the decision and you're serious right now. You're not like, oh, I'm going to be serious in 2 months. I don't believe that something magic happens on January 1st where, like, if you were procrastinating before, you're now not procrastinating. I think people that are like the people that I've met that are deeply serious, they are taking action before you even knew it. Before they even told you that they were like doing something, it's already like the steps are in place. So I think that the holidays and New Year's is a good time to like take stock and reflect and kind of zoom out and see maybe, okay, like I've been putting all my chips in this one way, but to get to the ultimate goal I really want, I should actually put a bit more time and attention and money and resource here. Like, I'm a believer in that, you know, spending time with your family. Like, that's what I did over the New Year's kind of Christmas period. But like, if you're waiting for January 1st to go to the gym, if you're waiting till January 1st to post that track that you think is the biggest thing on planet Earth, but you haven't posted it, if you're waiting to put your first podcast out on January 1st, I just think you're not serious, you know?
Yeah. Always that new year, new me bullshit.
Yeah.
I think all of that, like you said, nothing happens on January 1st that you don't wake up and all of a sudden you feel the same.
Yeah.
There's nothing that magically happens to you on January 1st or January 2nd.
Yeah.
It's how people do what's important to them. Like, people will do things, people will go after things, people will be around other people that are important.
Yeah.
We will always make time for what is important.
Yeah.
And if it's not important, we won't do it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's that thing that you talked about between the inspiration and the action. Like, how far in between is the inspiration and how far delayed is that action? Because the further until you wait to do something, the longer you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But if that inspiration hits and you're like, okay, tomorrow I got to do it, or today I got to do it, right? That time in between where it's still fresh and you're still inspired and you still have thoughts and you still have ideas. Once you're like, I'm going to do it, then you've already convinced yourself that this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I always hate, you know, or not hate, but I think hate's a very strong word, but I always dislike when people will post things on social media that they're going to do something, or they have an idea about this, but they never really do it because they're just looking for the validation of other people to accept, oh my God, he's doing this, or oh my God, this person's doing this.
Yeah.
And I think you just do it. There's nothing, if you tell other people about it, you're procrastinating about the idea or the thought, or just wanting to tell other people about what you are going to do, instead of just actually making steps or making a plan to actually get that thing out there or do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah. So this is interesting because I haven't thought about this since I recorded it, but it like we had this moment with a guest which like I really learnt something in that moment, and it kind of reminded me of what you just shared. So I'll share it with the audience. I won't share who the guest is, but he has like one of the biggest personal brands in the entrepreneurship space, like business space. And it wasn't always like that. Like he's really blown up in the last kind of year, 2 years across every platform. And I remember we're talking, this might have even been off camera, because we recorded together. And I'm saying to him, I'm like, we were talking about consistency. When it comes to content, that's one of the things that people always struggle with. It's like, how do I stay consistent? You know? And I'm asking him this. I'm like, but how do you stay consistent? Because you post on all these platforms. You post on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. How do you post on all of these platforms 365 days a year? And he pauses and he looks at me and goes, Calum, it's like every single human being on this planet is deeply consistent. Every single one of them. And I'm like, what's he talking about? He's like, even if you take someone Every single one is consistent. Consistently, you can watch TV consistently every single day. NFL Sundays, you're consistently, like, you turn up every game. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. You turn up every game to watch the Ravens play. You're deeply consistent. You go to school every day. You turn up to your job every day. You're consistent. People are deeply consistent. You eat every day. You go to sleep at similar-ish times every day. You're consistently hanging out with your friends. You're consistently going to the bar on Friday night. People are deeply consistent. The problem is that you're not consistent at the things that you should be consistent at, or you're not consistent in the areas that will actually cause a meaningful shift in your life. And so what it built in me and what I learned from that moment is that every day we get a certain number of chips, right? We get a certain number of like units of time that we can allocate towards things. And so the consistency piece is like, how are you allocating the chips? Like, are you putting in the time daily to get better in music or in creating beats or recording the interviews, or like a big thing for us is like Instagram and personal brand and all that stuff. Okay, cool. I've been deeply consistent on the YouTube podcast side. Are you now ready to be deeply consistent on Instagram? That's a decision. You're already consistent. Everyone is consistently doing something. It's just, how are you allocating it? And it goes back, it's like, I can't affirm enough. Once you make a decision, like a true decision, I think things really change. You know, and that's the problem with New Year's sometimes, is how many people have that New Year's resolution? Oh, I'm going to be in shape this year. It's like you're like you're flirting with it. And so I take back what I said earlier. People can get really inspired and something can feel like it's changed on January 1st. I'm not thinking about January 1st. I'm thinking, what are you doing on January 30th? And then what about on February 18th? And then what about on March 27th? Are you still consistently doing the thing? And that's going to come down first and foremost to you making the decision, like, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to do it long term.
What do you think, if somebody's listening to this and they're tired of what they're currently doing. They're tired of working that job. They're tired of maybe waking up and not feeling purposeful. If they're tired of just like not wanting to change, what would be a piece of advice that you'd give to somebody that's listening?
Yeah, there's so many places that I can go with this response, that I want to go. Mm-hmm. I want to give value, and I want to help that person because I've been there. It's like deeply personal for me. I would say the place that I would start, I think that experimentation is deeply underrated. So what I mean is sometimes in order for things to change, you're going to have to force the change, right? I think a lot of the times things can feel hopeless and extremely negative when you're having an experience that you don't enjoy, and then you're doing it day after day after day. And there's like this Groundhog's Day effect. Like I remember that sometimes when I was working in certain places, was like every day it's like, oh, back to this again and again. And like the routine, that was what was getting me, is the routine. It was no one single day was like horrific, but it was like this, I was like paper cutting myself to death, I call it. Like, it was like the routine of every day. And then you have the, what do they call it? The Sunday scaries. Every Sunday, oh God, I got to go back in the meetings, in the whatever. And so I think that if you're feeling that, because that's usually typically from what I've heard and in my own experience, that's when hopelessness and real negativity sets in. I think what you have to do is you have to violently change the routine. And so when I say experimentation is deeply underrated, it's important to just start trying stuff. I think that that's like a very neglected part of even my story. Like, yes, the podcast has reached a certain level of resonance and success, and that's cool to see. I still think we're really early, but people don't see how many things I did. I know it's cliche, but how many things I did that failed, like failed completely. Like, I tried to start 2 businesses in university that never ended up, like a clothing line, never ended up launching. I, even on just like content, personal brand stuff, before I was even doing a show. So I did nearly 100 episodes of the show before we ever had one that went viral. So there was, I guess you could call all of those 100, I don't even know how many views they got between all of them, but I was getting like 100 views an episode. So I don't know, you could, if you wanted to, call them failures. I don't really think about it like that. But even if you put that to one side, even before I started the show, I was posting on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I quit both of those things. Like, both of those things failed. But it's a key part of the story that you have to experiment. You have to try something new, right? Like, you have to, and I think one of the things that would just be so beneficial to society and to people's lives is being able to try things without that negative sentiment of, oh, it didn't work out, I failed, or I quit. And now you feel all of this shame around having tried something. It's I heard A$AP Rocky say this, like, when did it become shameful to like try? Like, what at what point as a culture and as like society did it reach a point where trying something was like looked down on, you know?
Or you're a try hard.
Yeah, like, oh, it's cringe, or you're doing too much, or not. Like, all the people that built great things were doing too much. Like, we've done nearly 200 episodes of the show. Every single guest is successful in their own right. Whether it's like a business that they've built, they've made generational wealth for for themselves and their families. They're just doing great things in the world. Each and every one of them is a try hard. Like, I don't know I actually put this in an Instagram post recently. I was like, I don't know, like, we live in a culture which is like nonchalant. Like, people want to be nonchalant. I think I said in my post, I was like, I'm deeply chalant. Like, I don't know anyone that was nonchalant that reached a great outcome. Even the people that are like masquerading as nonchalant, that you might, because I know there's like those music artists who are like mysterious and they disappear for everything. If they reach a certain level of a success, sustained success, I'm not talking about like a one-hit wonder that like went into oblivion or just went into obscurity. I'm talking sustained success, like they come back and it's a hit and it goes off every time. Those people are deeply chalant about their craft. And so I think it's what we said right in the beginning. It's like, big things start small. Great things start small. I could go so far down the rabbit hole with this. Like, one of my kind of, I don't know if it's controversial. I almost think that a problem that we have is like too much ambition out of the gate. Like, people, like, I remember those clothing brands, when I started them, I haven't even made any product. I don't even have a design. I'm talking to people, oh, this is going to be the next Nike, the next Air Jordan. It's going to be $1 billion brand. I had like all of these aspirations and these ambitions. And what that might seem positive, and it came from a very pure place. It came because like I really loved what I was doing and I was passionate and it was great. But that level of ambition out of the gate, like before you've even done anything, it put the bar so high that I didn't feel like I could release. I never ended up releasing products for those businesses because I was like, until it reaches Nike level, I can't release. I had like a sense of shame about trying, right? And I think it's so important. I think to that person who's like deeply unhappy in their job or the relationship or even like friendship or just how their life is going, is like, things do not change until they change. You're going to have to create the change. So try something different. And even if you try something different for a month and then you're like, actually, that's not it. and then you do something else, go do something else. Like, I'm a big fan of that. Like, the majority of things I've done haven't worked. I ended up quitting and never doing them again. But I needed that process to find the thing to find my personal legend, to find the thing that I'm doing now. So, yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we think about kind of what you said earlier. Well, when you first started out, it's like failure is just learned behavior over time. It's like failure is experimental learning, right? Like, I saw that you posted a video about that you've learned more about your YouTube wins, or like what did well, because you knew exactly how to replicate it again.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have this narrative that failure is the worst possible thing that can happen, right? But all the greats, the entrepreneurs, the music artists, the podcasters, they just failed and did it just one more day.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, I failed today, but tomorrow could be the day that everything changes for me. That things aren't going my way right now, but I might be failing. But that doesn't mean that you still don't try. Right? We think that once we see failure, it's like, all right, well, that's it. Put away the camera, put away the mic, put away the music, and that's it. But like, how much after that failing will you still continue to try and to do the thing? Right? Like, one of my favorite Gary Vee quotes is like, how long can you hold your breath?
Yeah.
This period of your life that you're in, how long can you hold your breath until you see the fruits of your labor? If everything that you're doing is quote unquote failing, well, how long can you hold your breath until you see the success? Right? Like, how long until you're doing all of these episodes, or you're creating all this music, until one day you get a call from Drake, or you get a call from one of the biggest artists in the world. It's like, hey, let's work together. Or you get a guest that hits you up like, hey, I'd love to come on. Like, how long can you hold your breath until things actually come into fruition? But it's not, you don't just fail completely, but you understand, you get the inventory of each day that I did this thing different. All right, well, let me try something different tomorrow. How long can I hold my breath until the things that I'm creating are going to come into fruition? So failure is just experimental learning. That's the only thing you're doing in that.
Yeah.
Understanding what's working, understanding what's not. Today I'm going to try something different. Tomorrow I'll try something different. And then when you see the success, it's like, that's when you hit. That's when whatever you created, it comes together, and that's what people see.
Yeah. I'm going to say one of the realest things that I could ever share publicly or on this show, which is, because when I first heard that, it's like, how long can you hold your breath? When I first heard that, I agreed. And then I thought about it more, and even just my own story. You will know that you're on the path to success when you're not where you want to be yet, but it doesn't even feel like you're holding your breath. And here's what I mean. I'll give an example from my own life, right? A year into doing the show, so in 2023, I quit my job. I end up moving from living in Manhattan to I'm living in the suburbs of Jersey, right? And I remember that first day when I moved back in with my mom. I remember telling her, I'm like, Mom, I sat her down. I was like, Mom, listen, I ain't going to be here that long. We're going to be here 3 weeks, get back on my feet. This is going to start working. I'm going to be out of here back to New York. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go and suffer through. I don't really, and I love my family. But I also love the independence of like having my own setup, my own space. And like, I deeply that meant so much to me. I cherish that. And so I remember initially when I moved back home, thinking to myself, okay, how do I just, grit my teeth, just tough it out through this kind of fallow, dark period, right? I was suffering through it. I was holding my breath in the way that Gary described. And I remember 2 months go by. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Nothing has changed. Like, internally, a lot has changed. But there's always a time lag between like the internal changes and you as a person and then the results that you get in your life. So Internally, things had changed. Externally, nothing's changed. If anything, I'm actually just more broke than when I moved in, right? And so I remember it vividly because we were getting to the end of the summer. And you know this, like the summer in New York is like such a great time. Like people are just happier, the weather's nice, people are doing things outdoors, there's parties, there's like everything you would want as like a early to mid 20-year-old is happening in New York in the summer. And I remember it vividly because we got to the end of the summer and I'm still living with my mom. Like things are still not taken off and I'm more broke. And I remember I had to reach this like breaking point. And it happened over time. And then it all came to a head in one day where I was like, the whole time that I've been here, I've been holding my breath. I've been waiting for that moment where things will work and I can finally get back to the life I want to live, my old life. And I made a decision in that moment. I remember it because it was like late at night and I was in, I didn't even have a room at my mom's house. It was like the kind of the guest, like the spare bedroom. And I remember just vividly, because at the time what I would do, I actually encourage people to do this if they're kind of going through like things that are challenging. I would record like a video diary at the end of every day. So I know people are always talking about journaling. I couldn't journal consistently, but I could turn on my iPhone and put it on a tripod and hit record and then just speak into the phone and just kind of share my thoughts. And I remember one of the things that I shared during that recording, I made a promise to myself, very clear promise. And I said, I'm going to stop thinking about when this is going to end. I'm going to stop thinking about, when this is going to blow up. Like, when am I going to have my first video that goes crazy? When am I going to sign a big client? That means that I can move back. Because at the time I had like an agency thing I was doing as well, which was also failing. I made a promise. I'm not going to think about any of that. The only commitment that I'm going to make is that every week I'm going to put an episode out. I'm going to choose one thing in that episode I put out that could be improved for the next week. I am then going to improve that thing. I'm then going to put out the next episode. I'm going to do that again and again and again and again. That's the only commitment. I don't know when it's going to blow up. Like, I completely gave myself to the process. I wasn't thinking about it ending. Wasn't thinking about getting this big event. Like, truly, I'm not saying that to be like cliche and like cool on a podcast or whatever. Like, truly, I did not think about when it would work. Like, I let all of that go. I was like, I'm just going to commit to the process of getting better at this craft. And I will leave no stone unturned in my pursuit of greatness in this craft. I made that decision. And I get goosebumps, like, even thinking back on it. 3 weeks later, we record an episode. And like I tell people, I was getting 100 views, 100 downloads or streams, I guess, whatever, per episode. 3 weeks later, we record an episode. It was the most popular on my channel. It's now the second most because we had a video overtake it. That episode has 910,000 views. 3 weeks. From when I made that commitment, that look, I'm not thinking about it like I'm holding my breath or I'm going to suffer through this. I'm going to grit my teeth. I am going to make a deep commitment to the process. And as cliche as that sounds, because I know everyone says that in the podcast, and I remember when I was in that moment, it would be so frustrating listening to these guys that like made it to a certain extent and be like, just love the process, man, and be consistent. I'd be like, oh, shut up, man. Like, fucking annoying. But that is what it is. I made this commitment to the process, and that's when things blew up for me. And I think that there's a lesson in that. In The Alchemist, there's this line that I wrote down in my notes because he says the guy's a shepherd, and then he makes this kind of transition. He starts pursuing his personal legend, and he writes out, he says, I'm an adventurer looking for treasure. I'm an adventurer looking for treasure. That is my mindset with this. Like, we don't get to decide we don't get to decide which episode is the one that gets 1 million downloads or what's the right time for us to get rich or make our first million. You don't get to decide any of that. You can be an adventurer looking for treasure, which is someone that set out with a pursuit or a personal legend, and you are in commitment, in a deep commitment to that pursuit. And so that's what I did. That's how it worked.
Yeah. Have you finished The Alchemist?
No, I'm like halfway through. I'm reading it literally right now.
Well, one of my favorite lines in that book is that the universe will conspire everything in your favor.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And as long as you are focused on the journey,
Yeah.
and I read the end of the book, so I won't.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it, but it's this idea that you have when you meet. I forgot his name. When you meet the character, and how much in tune he is with understanding the journey and looking around in the universe and how it's conspired all these things to just happen for him to follow his personal legend. Like everything that's happening in his life, it's like, oh wow, the universe is conspiring for everything to work in my favor. So he sees something, he sees everything line up, the people that he meets, the things that they say to him, and that's what I feel like when you found your purpose, it doesn't matter when it will happen. When you detach from the results of what you want to have happen and you attach yourself to the process of it, it's like detach from the results, attach to the process. That's when things start to roll for you. But we have this thought in our mind that we want to have the biggest podcast in the world. We want to have $1 million. We want to build this biggest business. But we're so focused on the outcome. We're not focused on, well, what can I do today to create a better episode for next week? What can I do to make some more money today? That's why I love the whole, the inspiration behind the whole name of the 1% podcast. It's like, well, what can I do today to improve myself tomorrow? What can I focus on today that will give me a better outcome for tomorrow? And what can I let go of today that will hold me back from reaching that? Because guess what? Tomorrow you start fresh. Tomorrow, whatever you did today doesn't matter. Tomorrow, focusing on the same things that can get you to where you want to be for the inevitable future. But we're so focused and attached to the idea of what we want to have happen instead of attaching to the process and the journey and focusing on that rather than the result or the outcome of it.
100%. I think, and to be honest, it's like I relate because I've been there as well. And sometimes we all get impatient. We all get impatient. We all get anxious for a certain result. But it makes sense why things... And I love that part from The Alchemist. When you are purely pursuing the thing that you are meant to do, the universe will conspire in your favor. That is a deeply empowering sentiment. And I think it makes sense. It makes sense when you have this, and we've all experienced this, which is when you just want that outcome. And you've put all of your self-esteem, your hopes, your energy, everything, your happiness, just because you want an outcome, it makes sense why it doesn't work. Because typically, when we're in pursuit of that, you want the things that come with the outcome. You want to be you want to be the next Drake or the next Taylor Swift or the biggest music artist of this time, because you want those the followers. You want the women that are singing your song when you're performing in front of sold out arenas. You want the money that comes, you want all of the other things. You don't actually, that's not your personal legend.
That's just your ego.
Yeah, you just wanted all those things that came with it. Yeah. And so for me, I had to learn it the hard way, which was don't just, it's not even just a commitment to the process. Fall in love with it. Start to enjoy that process of how do we improve the thumbnail? How do we make I was talking about this with the person that does thumbnails on my team yesterday. I was like, we should change the frame that we take of the guest. I think that this facial expression would get more clicks. It's taking this one small detail like most people wouldn't give a shit about. Who cares if he's smiling or his mouth is closed or her mouth is open, or who gives a shit? But to me, I give a shit. I enjoy the process of how do we just get a little bit better? These 1%, not even these 1%, it's 0.1%. Or how can we make the title a bit better? How can we make the intro just a little bit better? And not suffering through that process, actually enjoying it. If you're a musician, a producer, I don't know if there's a part of that like most people like they don't want to do. They want to neglect, or they hate it, or someone else will do that. Will like mix and master it or whatever. I'm like, why not enjoy that process of getting better, like those little 1%. And when you can commit to that, you stop thinking about this deadline of, oh, is my song gonna blow up by this time, or is my video gonna go viral, or whatever. Just enjoy creating each one and every minuscule part of it. And it will happen. Like, God will take care of it for you, or whatever you believe in. The universe will take care of it for you the moment when it blows up. And the thing that I can assure people, if they're listening, if you can do that, when you do blow up, because you will, it will happen at the perfect time. Like, there is such a thing as blowing up too early. You know what I mean? Like, there is such a thing as the person that only posted a couple of videos, went viral, or made a song, posted it, it was the biggest hit in the country, and then you never heard from them again. Like, there is actually a perfect time for your shit to go, where like you're ready, you're the right sort of person that can be consistent, like you've developed as a character enough where you can handle people flooding your comment section. Like, there is a perfect time to blow up. And when you do things the right way, I always tell people it's like, your time is coming. Like, you're on the clock. Like, there will be a point where it will work, and it will be the perfect moment. So while you're waiting for that, enjoy the day to day. Enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always hear like artists like J. Cole or people say that they loved that they wish they could go back to where they were.
Yeah.
Like, they wish they could go back to that. Like, I think he talked about where it was his time in Queens when he was at St. John's and nobody knew who he was. Like, he wished he could go back to that person.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you see sometimes where people make it or they become successful or they do all the things that they set out to do, and then after that they either become complacent or they don't create the same, or they don't have the same hunger that you can see or that you can hear. And I think just, you know, if you're in this time, and I think sometimes for even myself, like, I don't understand about like how blessed I am to be in the position that I am, right? Like, just being in it, you know, because the further that you're away from that hunger and hustle mentality, I feel like the further you get away from like the creative or the reason why you started or the reason that keeps you going or all of these things. And we all need those reminders, no matter how successful or maybe at this point in time not successful you are.
Yeah. You know, I agree to an extent. I also think, and this is what I've just observed, I think that we have this tendency, I don't know where it comes from, maybe it's like in our DNA. I think that we have this tendency as human beings to always revere the thing that we don't have. You know what I mean? Like the struggling artist who like deeply wants to be successful and be on stages and magazines and have money and like wants to get out the hood. You always hear that with like rappers, right? I want to get out the hood. And then they get out the hood and now you're like in this new place and you got the penthouse and you have everything you want. And now it's like, oh, but I miss the days when I wasn't. You even see it in like a micro, in like just a completely different context. You see it, people will go to like another country and they'll be like, oh, everything here is like so much better than what it is. I hear this because I grew up in London, right? Born and raised in London. I will go back to London and I will speak to people and they will tell me, they're like, oh, you live in New York? Oh, like it sucks here. It's such bad vibes in London. Like, I wish that I could move to America. I live in America. I live in New York. And then it's funny. I'll talk to people here that have gone to London. They're like, I just love London, man. London's a great place, man. If I could live there, that's my American accent. But I was like, if I could live in London, like that would be amazing, man. So I think that we have this tendency as humans to always like pedestalize and admire the place that like we're not.
or want the things that we don't have.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So like the rich famous musician wants to go back to when they were like humble, like in the basement grinding,
living off food stamps and all that. Yeah.
And I'm like,
would you really choose? Would you really choose that though?
Yeah.
Like, would you really choose that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's some parts of myself that like there's some parts of like me, and not just like the environment that I went, but there's some versions of myself that I wish I could go back to. And like, I think the 18-year-old version of me blows myself out the water right now. Like, not even just like in terms of just like, I just think mentally he was just so sharp, right? And it's not the places that I was at, but I just think who he was as a person was so much better than the version that I am now.
In what respect?
I don't know. I just, or maybe it's just me not giving myself credit or flowers, which I never really do. But I think just he was just so much more, I don't want to say motivated, but he was just so much sharper mentally, you know? But then there's another aspect where it's like, all right, well, you're moved out your hometown now, and it's just a different version of yourself. Or like now you're sharper in different ways. Like you sharpened your tools, and they're not as sharp as they once were, but they're still sharp enough to be able to cut through a block of wood or be able to cut through steel. And that's something that I think about a lot. Is like, I wish I could go back to certain versions of myself. And not the places, but just the version of who I was, you know?
Yeah. I think that, and I don't know specifically for your case, you know, like we'd really have to like unpack that and talk about it.
Yeah.
But I do think that we just have a tendency as humans to have like these really fond memories, you know what I mean? Like it's like, even when sometimes, and I know there's people out there that have had like really traumatic childhoods, and so they won't have this feeling. But even if you have like a certain level of trauma in your childhood, there's probably things that you remember really fondly that actually weren't that great, you know, like, but it just, I find that the more time and separation that we have from certain events or being a certain person, we tend to only remember the good stuff. You know what I mean? You don't remember that when you were 18, it's like you were too nervous to like ever go and, I don't know, talk to the girl at school or something. Like, you don't remember all of the stuff that you couldn't do, or like you couldn't concentrate in class, or like you weren't disciplined to go to the gym like 3 days a week. Like, you can do all of that shit like easy now, so you discount it because it's easy. You know, like you neglect it. You're like, oh, you take that for granted. But the one thing that you had something a bit more of when you were 18 or you were younger, you give yourself like the ultimate credit back then for. I think that sometimes it's also, because I've had thoughts like that before. I think honestly now I feel like I'm in a good place where like I have a high level of certainty and confidence. This is the best Calum that's ever existed. I feel like really confident in that. But even if it wasn't, I wouldn't think about it in those terms of like comparing. You know, people do that with music artists. They're like, I miss the old Kanye. I miss the old Drake. I miss the, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you're reinventing yourself and you're really kind of pushing the boundaries of what you think you're capable of, you will kind of develop this feeling that like, oh no, this is the best version that exists right now. Because I know like a year ago I couldn't do this. A year ago I wasn't doing this. I wasn't even filming shows like this. Like I wouldn't do interviews. Even like 6 months ago I wouldn't do interviews. So it's you start to see this evolution of like, oh no. Sometimes you have to give your brain more evidence, you know? Like, we take for granted things that we do. We just like, oh yeah, I guess I did that thing that I could never have done, but like, let's just move on. And you think about the things that we don't do.
Yeah, maybe that's it too. I don't know. Just not giving yourself credit. Where it's like, oh, you're doing all these things. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, I am doing all these things, but I could always be doing more, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what always people would say. Like, I could always be doing more.
Yeah.
And, like, there's truth to that statement, but two things can be true at once. Like, you could be doing enough, but then you could also be doing more.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can understand, well, damn, I've done all of these things and I'm creating all of these things, or yeah, I've gained success in all these areas, but I could always be doing more. I could always wake up a little bit earlier, right? Like there's two things could be true at once. Like, yes, you are doing enough, but then you could always be doing more. And it's like, that's weird. It's that weird, I don't know, like, I guess, spectrum that you're in, where like you understand there's more could be done, but then you understand that, damn, I actually really am doing a lot in my life right now. And like I should be proud of that and I should be happy about that. But don't stay in that mindset where you're just appreciating and being grateful for everything, which is also a great thing, but there has to be an underlying level of hunger for more.
Yeah. You know, I remember I listened to this interview with Naval Ravikant, and he was like a really powerful part of my journey. I had a lot of kind of like, I don't even know what to call it, almost like epiphany moments listening to Naval speak on podcasts. And I remember one of the things that he shared his definition of success is very simple. It's like, did you get what you want out of life? That's it. You know, everyone has like this different, like, I need to be rich, I need to be this, I need to have a wife and all this. It's very simple. It's like a very much a personal thing. It's, did you get what you want out of life? And so I think it's important to have a certain degree, you know, that is always evolving, but it's important to have a certain clarity on that, because what you said is correct. Like, you could always be doing more. Like Michael Jordan, in theory, could have done more in pursuit of I'm sure it's possible to have done more in pursuit of being the greatest basketball player that ever played. Like Lionel Messi could have done more, I'm sure, like to be the greatest footballer. Like you can always level that. So you kind of have to reach a place where, and it kind of goes deeply into the spirit of being a creative, is that you're going to create to a certain point, then you're going to have to let go. And that's always what it is. Like the person that creates never releases, but never releases anything, they never want to let go of the thing. At a certain point, you're going to have to get it to a standard, and then you're going to have to be like, okay, I'm going to put this in the world. It's the same thing with what you're talking about. It's like, okay, I'm going to put everything I can to be the best podcaster, musician, business person, father, and at a certain point, you're going to have to let go. And so it's always a battle for me, because I think people that are extremely ambitious tend to be tough on themselves, because that's what drives it, you know. But I think for me, I'm getting better at like, I trust that I'm going to put a lot in. I trust my work ethic. I'm like, no, you do work hard. Sometimes I literally have to tell myself that. I'm like, I like end work maybe a little bit early. I'll be like, oh, why am I doing? Like, am I not hungry anymore? Have I like lost it? Am I becoming comfortable, complacent? Like, no, you work hard. You're good. Let it go. Go to bed or whatever. Go watch an anime. I'm watching Naruto at the minute.
Nice.
Go watch Naruto.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right.
Wake up the next day. You're going to go again.
Yeah.
Like, trust it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's also like finding those, not escapes, but like things that you're also passionate about, things that you also have love in, right? Like if you can love something so deeply, like the podcast, you can also love something else, something else that'll like bring you leisure time. You know, I'm not somebody that believes in 24/7 on the clock. Yeah. Like I think as an entrepreneur or as a podcaster, you always have to be working, unfortunately. But I think there's also some time where it's like, all right, well, this is going to be my downtime to do something else, or I'm going to pick up another hobby, or I'm going to, do something that brings me joy besides just like completely focusing on this one thing. Yeah. Right. Like I think there should be levels to it for sure. I know, like at least in my life, where I picked up a new hobby about like collecting cards, like One Piece cards. I'm a big One Piece fan. Nice, nice. I learned how to play the game, like all that stuff. Like after this, I'm going to be going to a pre-release local and play the game with other people. Like nice. It's just like little stuff like that, like little things that I find joy in, right? That's anything else besides the podcast or fitness, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's just finding something else as well that you can find some leisure in and enjoy yourself in, and not just be so rigid and so focused on like just this one thing, Yeah.
You know what it is? It's like, I don't know. I think a lot of advice, it starts to become very like existential. Like it always like, but I think that this is true, which is when it's all said and done, you know, you're not really going to remember that you spent 20 minutes longer on your podcast, or that you were like grinding at the office for like an extra hour. Like, I think these things are good to do, but typically when people are on their deathbed, and I think they've done like studies of this, like they've asked people this, they typically tend to remember like social human interactions. Most of the time with their spouse, with family members, with close friends. So, like, we're all trying to get the balance right. You know, like, yes, you can have work that's like deeply meaningful, or like a job that you're like very committed to. But it's important to find those moments. Like, you're not going to remember the Friday evening that you worked late at the office when you're 80 years old. You know, you're probably going to remember like when your kid was born. Or even like sometimes we remember odd things. Like, you'll remember that night when you were playing cards with your boys and it was like hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's important. I'm big on that. Like, obviously, stay delusional, and like the message, and we can even get into that, but like the message of that is like so important. It's like an expression of my being. But I'm also big on, I'm getting better as a person as well. It's like you have to find those other things, especially when it starts to involve like people, you know, like that's what we really get the most joy from. We're like collaborative as humans. We're communal. We like to be around people.
Yeah, you posted, I think it was on the 31st or sometime before the new year, where you posted that when you were in London, you were completely present. Like, that was the only thing you were focused on.
Yeah.
And that you were just so deeply enshrined in just being present with your family and just watching shows, or, you know, you went to go see Marty Supreme. You know what I mean? Like, you went to go see that. Like, just being present, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something that we don't do as entrepreneurs, as podcasters, as people that's trying to create something big. It's like we're just focused on, well, what can I do next?
Yeah.
Like, what have you done lately?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, always the next episode has to be better than the last one.
Yeah.
But
but
just like detaching from that, you know what I'm saying?
It's like, it's the thing about life I've realized, there's a lot of contradictions. You know what I mean? Like, on the one hand, like, even if you just look at like our conversation right now, it's like, yes, like, work really hard, be ambitious, find the 1% improvements. So like, that's one way. And then it's like, but also enjoy your family and like be present and have a moment at times where you can switch off and like you're not thinking about 1%. And you kind of have to find your own way within the contradictions. Like, both parts are correct, you know? And so for me, honestly, it's, I did write that, and I was really present, you know, like we played like 3-hour Uno games with like my younger sisters, my brother, my mum, and my like as a family. Like, the Calum that exists in New York would never do that, because I'm like, this isn't a good use of time. You know what? Like, I find that challenging. Like, that was actually probably more challenging for me than like working. I really enjoyed it, but it was challenging in the sense that I remember those first few days when I was like kind of just slowing down over the Christmas period and like not working as much and being more present. And you have this like silent gear in your mind that's like, you're like kind of impatient with your family. You're like, oh, let's just get to the point. Or like, you know what I mean? It's like actually difficult to do that, but it's so important. That season, or like that period of time where you can just be present with people, is so important, and it like means so much to them. And so I think if you care about someone, you should give them an experience that means so much to them. You know, you should try and give them that experience as much as possible. So it's something I'm slowly getting better at.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we are walking contradictions now.
Yeah.
Like, two things. I love the saying, two things can be true at once, because they can be.
Yeah. That's life.
Yeah. Two things can be true. Your life can suck, but your life can also be great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just finding those contradictions and just like, kind of like what you said, just discerning.
Yeah.
Well, what's true, what's actually true, and like, what am I making up?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, life is the thing I've realized is, I don't want to make it sound like I'm like some sort of sage, 27 years old, like I've got a lot to learn. But one thing I've learned, especially in the last year, life is about finding what works for you, right? So you can come to a podcast, and I love shows like this, and it's why I love my own show, because I learn a lot from it, but we also give a lot of nuggets of wisdom, whether it's on building a business or really just life and overcoming adversity and making a transformation in your life. Like, you can pick up these nuggets from people, but the way that it looked for Oprah is not the way that it's going to look for me. The way that it looked for Rogan isn't necessarily how my podcast is going to become number one or in the top 10. Like, everyone is playing their own game in life. And so you can take nuggets and like pieces of information from different people. Like, one of the people that I admire or look to a lot growing up and still now is Kobe Bryant. Like, that Mamba mentality. But there's a lot of things about him that I also just wouldn't take. And I think that that's right. Like, the whole game, and I've learned this from the 200 episodes that I've done on the show, the whole game is figuring out what works for you. That's the only thing that you have to master. Who cares if it worked for, I don't even know, Gary Vaynerchuk? Like, who cares if it worked for Gary Vaynerchuk? That doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So you use the word discernment. I think that that's a really important word. Mm-hmm. You have to learn to discern, like, okay, what am I going to take from this person, implement in my life, and it can have a great impact? What am I going to, that's not really for me. Mm-hmm. I think that that's a really important part of it.
Yeah. What are some things that Calum is currently working on and working through in his personal life?
Oh, my personal life? Oh, that's a good question. The one caveat I'll say, I think with the show and like the Calum Johnson show, it's where you asked me this question, then I start talking about the business straight away. But it's my what I do is so interwoven with who I am. So sometimes like the boundaries between like personal development and then just like, well, that actually also does help the business, but it is personal. It can get blurred. I think in terms of my personal life, I kind of go back to the principle that we started with. I think great things start small. So I'm trying to make these like small efforts, not to create balance so much, because I'm not sure how much I believe in like a work-life balance per se, but kind of like find these outlets that will just help me kind of round out as an overall human being. So as an example, my younger sister like loves hot yoga. I do not love hot yoga. I went to 2 classes over the Christmas like holidays break, and it was tough in there. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was. I lift weights, like I go to the gym. The hot yoga was tough. That's one of my targets. Like, I want to commit to doing more hot yoga. I'm doing do you know High Rocks? Mm-hmm. I'm doing High Rocks in Miami in April. That's another thing. We're raising $3,000. I'm raising $3,000 for women's empowerment as part of completing that challenge. I'm also doing it with my older brother. My older brother and I. There was 2 kind of motivations with that. One was just to continue to build on our brotherhood and like this deep connection. In many ways, he's kind of like my best friend. Like, we have so much in common, and we're doing it in partnership. We're both raising $3,000 for women's empowerment, but we're also both deeply competitive. And so if you think that whenever the date is, April, whenever, if you think that in my mind as I'm training for it, I'm not like, I want to be the person that's like leading this duo. Like, yes, we're on the same team, but one is always better than the other. So I think that there's, I'm finding ways outside of purely my craft to just kind of round out and like test different parts of my personality. I think the other thing, if I was going to be really kind of vulnerable, open, is you spoke about communication. I think actually off camera, you said that like communication is maybe the biggest thing that like society lacks. Like no one knows how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, if I'm being honest, in friendships, but then also in romantic relationships, I think there are times when I am so driven and in such a singular pursuit of my personal legend and my craft that I can be distant for people that I shouldn't be distant for. So I can be distant and I don't want to be distant for those people, but I'm just in my world. My mind is locked in. And so I think that that's also one of the things that I want to improve. And sometimes that's done in small ways, you know, like just sending a text to someone, oh, like I'm thinking about you, or like, you know, we'll talk later. But I think that it can be done in small ways, or even like a voice note or a photo. Like, you know, there's ways that you can show someone that they're on your mind and you care. That doesn't have to be a complete like distraction from your business or your work. Like you can find the harmony for the people that matter. And I want to get better at that.
Is there a reason why you, when they get close or when you're with them, is there a reason why you push away?
I don't actually think I push away now. I think that when I was younger, I think there was actually like reasons why I wouldn't, I would kind of push away. I think now, I think it's, you know, I was thinking about this actually recently. I think a lot of the times we think about committing to things, not just even just relationships, but even, you know, we were talking about content earlier. We talk about, you know, I want to commit to this. I'm going to do it consistently. In order for you to commit to anything, if you're doing it the right way, in my personal opinion, you have to then say no to a bunch of different, like a lot of different things. Like a lot of the times we only think about the thing we're saying yes to. But like, as an example, for you to have a committed long-term like relationship, like a girlfriend, and to pour into her and invest into that relationship in the right way, you're saying no to not only like other women, you're also saying no to a bunch of other ways that you could spend your time. So the reason I say that is like, you kind of have to make a decision and you have to feel like that person was the right person that you're going to make that commitment to. So I actually don't think right now, I don't feel like I'm actually like pushing away. I think it's more so finding the right person in the right timing that you're like, oh, okay, this is the person where I'm actually kind of willing to break like my routine and my kind of, not break it, but like just change some of like just the way that I am in a way, like some of these habits, because I know that it means something to this person and I really cherish this person. I don't think that I found that today. I found it in different moments, but I haven't found it right now. So,
Are you in a season where you're maybe not looking for love, but are you in a season of receiving love?
oh yeah, 100%. I'm open to it. I'm definitely like, there's definitely been periods of my life where I was like, it was like a terrifying thing, you know, scary. I think now I just see the value and the benefit of commitment and like having someone by your side that you can like confide in, that can be there for you, but also you can be there for them. Like that is, it's weird to talk about in this sense, but it's almost like a superpower. Like it's not only a great feeling, it's just so, it's awesome. Like I'm convinced by that. So I am very open to receiving it. I think that though, I'm also in a great place because I don't know, like the undertaking, like I say stay delusional, right? Like it's even written on my t-shirt. When you go out into the world with an extremely ambitious, audacious goal or something that you want to make happen, you have to put a lot into that. And so I think for me personally, like, I really enjoy what I do. Like, I've reached a place in my life where I really like this. And so, yes, there's a lot of ups and downs, and there's a lot of things that, like, stress you out, or, like, you know, you have days where you're like, oh, man, this is getting a bit long in here, you know? But I deeply enjoy what I do. So I also think, to a certain extent, I've come across people where, and I've been there as well, where you have like this dissatisfaction with your own life, and then you go out into the world and you go out into relationships looking to fill this dissatisfaction. I don't feel like that. I feel really good. Like I think because of my craft and my family and my, like, the people around me, I actually feel really good. And now I'm kind of looking, I'm very open to receiving a love from someone who feels like very additive to that, and we can both kind of add to each other's worlds. Maybe that sounds like idealistic, but yeah, I am open to that.
Yeah. I do want to, there's some questions that my girlfriend actually sent me. This was going to be on a solo episode, but I'm curious to know your thoughts. What question do you hope nobody asks you?
Oh, what question I hope no one asks me? Your girlfriend sent you this?
Yeah.
Jesus.
She's an avid watcher of the show, so.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. What question? That is so hard to answer.
Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, wow.
Yeah. What question do I hope no one asks? Because the reason it's hard to answer is because
there are a lot of questions that
the
you hope
answer
nobody asks.
is like, I also don't want myself even to ask it. So I'm like, I don't even know what it is. I haven't really thought about it. What was the thing that you just said?
I said it was just like, so it's so hard because it's like when I looked at it, I was like, damn, that is a question that I've never thought about before. What question do you hope that nobody asks you? Because then if somebody asks you it, would you be ready to answer?
And that's the thing. Oh. The true question, we'd probably have to go to like some therapy session or something. Like, I think it's one of those things that you'd work your way up to that question. You'd be in like a certain place of vulnerability. You know what? This just came to my mind. I remember seeing this clip from Jordan Peterson. And I know that he gets a lot of like, he's a polarizing figure. People have a lot of different opinions on him. I don't actually really have an opinion, like a strong opinion on him. But I remember one of the things, and he actually got emotional in the clip, is he said, the one question I wish people would ask me more is actually the most common question that we ever get asked. But he said, I wish that it would be more present and they would really care about the answer is, how are you doing? Like, truly, like, you know, we will meet someone. I probably said it to you when we spoke on the phone, or like when we first met in person today. I was like, oh, like, how's it going? How you doing? But most of the time, we've gotten so used to using that in our language, it's like a throwaway. Like, I'm asking you, how are you doing? And Avi, I do care, but like most of the time when someone says that, do they really care like how you're doing? Like truly? Or it's just like, it's like saying hello.
Well, how
so
are
maybe
you
it would
doing?
something. Who I'm good. I feel it's such there's different places that you can go with the answer. Because I think about one of the things I've started doing recently in my mornings is I'll pray. And my prayers usually start with everything that I'm grateful for. And they go on for long amounts of time. So I say that to say that I have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be thankful for. I don't take it for granted. The position that I'm in, the person that I'm becoming, the stunning amount of people that have like invested in me, whether it's money, time, their attention, their expertise, with seemingly nothing transactional to get in return. So I'm deeply grateful. But then there's also another side of me, which is I think that I carry a certain weight and a responsibility, which is I think when you really care about something and you are pursuing your personal legend, the thing that you were put here to do, and you start to get like, you feel like people I care about it, and it starts to get a bit of traction. People start to like it. You start to get noticed for it in public and all of this stuff. It changes a little bit. And you start to go from just being this like plucky guy that was just waiting for any opportunity, just anything, to now you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to yourself. You have a responsibility to your audience. You have a responsibility to your family. You have a responsibility even like to your ancestors who made certain decisions so that you could even be in this position. You have a responsibility to your team, like I have a team. And so I am good, but I'm also someone that feels the weight of the responsibility, of the talent, of the community that I have around me. And then I think also within all of that is what you mention, which is like even outside of work is, as delusional as I am about my business, I also have high aspirations of like finding a partner, like finding a soulmate, finding like a tribe and a community of men around me who are like deeply aligned and also on their own journey. Like I feel like I have great friends, but we are all in kind of pursuit of our own personal legend. And then also some of my best friends, some of my favorite people in the world, they live in London and I live here. And so, it's a real everyday battle as someone that is aspirational, as someone that wakes up with like an energy and an enthusiasm for life, of like getting the harmony right between how do I feel as a person, how does my business feel, how do the people around me feel. And so I think overall it's good, but there's always things that can be improved, I'll say. Yeah.
What I heard and understood from that is that wanting a partner, wanting people around you, is that there might be a sense of loneliness there. Do you feel lonely?
At times, yeah. I think the loneliness, it's like, it's weird to call it loneliness though, in a way. So I don't think it's what people expect. I think, and I'm still in a really relatable part of my journey. I'm not yeah, we've had a certain degree. I don't even like to call it success. I feel like we're just getting started, honestly. But the loneliness starts to come a bit when you just don't meet that many people that can relate with what you're experiencing right now. This isn't the example, but just to give a example, like we live in New York, right? Like most people in New York have a 9 to 5. I don't have a 9 to 5. I haven't had a 9 to 5 in 3 years. It's coming on 3 years. I'm like going around the world and like filming shows. And so like that's a huge blessing. I don't want to sound like ungrateful for that or like sound like that's a burden. I love that. But when you're having challenges, as you kind of get further and further along that path, there becomes less and less people that you can speak with and feel understood and feel seen, because they don't have that experience. So the loneliness is weird because it's not like you're alone. Like it's not like there's no one around you. It's more like, how often do you feel seen, understood, like someone gets it? That I think becomes like the lonely aspect of it.
Are you afraid of being exposed, or are you afraid of being unseen?
Exposed, like, what do you mean by exposed?
Exposed, just like explaining to somebody that the certain things, it's like the exposure of like what I'm about to tell you,
Yeah,
or the,
I'm not really afraid. I'm not afraid of it. I think that I think typically as humans we're able to relate when we have personally experienced something. If you've been heartbroken, if I'm heartbroken right now and then you start talking about heartbreak, I'm like, oh, I relate with that guy because it's a shared experience. But I think for, as I continue to progress, God willing, touch wood, in what I'm doing, there's just less and less people that have experienced those things, you know? And so that can start to become, it's just tough to find people even that like kind of understand it intimately. They might understand it like, oh yeah, he's got a lot going on or whatever. But like someone that's intimately understands it is kind of harder and harder to find. So
yeah.
that's what I'd say, yeah.
My last question for you is, what part of yourself do you check in with the least, and why?
What part do I check in with the least? Dang. What part do I check in the least? Probably like my personal happiness. It sounds weird. I don't think about it that much. Which sounds very strange. I've been like that from really like an early age. I've never really, I've had brief moments where I've been like very unhappy. Typically when I'm in a environment or a spot that I know that I'm not meant to be. Like I tend to have like a gut instinct on things. And so I remember I had a certain job as an example. Where like, I could feel like someone like me is not meant to be in this environment. And the longer that I was in that environment, I actually started to get depressed, which I've never got. I think I've always been someone that's generally had a pretty good attitude. And so maybe I take it for granted that I will always kind of be in a good mind space. And I don't check in. I wouldn't say I neglect it, but I also don't check in too often about my own happiness outside of the show. I'm not talking about the show's doing well and the business is going off and everything and I'm making more money. I'm not talking about like the Calum Johnson show media entity. I'm talking about Calum Johnson, the human being. I think sometimes it's what we spoke about earlier. I am like so in pursuit of the mission and like the 1% and getting better and all of that stuff that sometimes you have to like find this small space. And I think anyone that's like in pursuit of something will relate with this. You have to find those moments, those like quiet moments where you're like, how does the human being feel? How does the inner child feel? I'm not talking about yes, I get that all the metrics could be up and to the right and whatever, everything, your dreams are coming true. That's cool. But like, how do you as a person feel? And I think the difficulty is that when there's a lot of things going on, what I've noticed in people and myself, typically the entity that gets neglected is yourself. Like most people will make sure that everyone else is good, the business is good, the employees are getting paid, the sponsors are happy, their family's good, their girlfriend, she's feeling good. But like, and then after all of that, they'll be like, oh, okay, am I good? And there's this quote from Oprah, which I actually wrote in my phone. It's been really instructive for me. She says, our first duty as human beings is to make sure that our cup is full. And so, yeah, that's something that I'm always working on that. Like making sure that you're good making sure that your cup is full. And then when your cup is full, kind of pouring some of that excess into other people's cups. But I think that's difficult. It's a difficult challenge.
Are you happy?
You know, it's an odd answer. I just don't think about it that much. Not in like a way where I feel like I'm like traumatized or like trying to avoid it. I just think that I'm like deeply in the process. Like I say, I really enjoy what I do. I have like a deep love and a care for like my family and my close friends and people that I spend time with. I feel really blessed to do what I do. So I guess, is that happiness? I don't know. Like, I think the way that we think about happiness, it's like, does that mean you're like skipping to work every day? Like, I don't know. I don't even know what the definition, like what people think of as happiness. But I think what I described, it feels pretty happy. Mm-hmm. Like, I like what I do. I like, there's always adjustments that have to be made, but I love my family. I live in like, this is an iconic city I live in. I'm from London, I consider London the greatest city in the world. My favorite city, I guess I should say. I'm not trying to stir up some online debate, but yeah, I feel good.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's happiness, but I feel good.
So what prevents you from pouring into your cup?
I'm pouring into my cup. I think to a certain extent it's like I'm getting better at it all the time. I think typically it's I don't know. Like there's so many ways that I could answer the question, I'm sure that there's a part of it, if we really wanted to go back, you talk about like childhood. You talk about, because we all have certain traumas or things that we're looking to get over, or like a certain level of a void. I think every human has that. And that motivates, one of the things I would always do growing up, and it's still now, is I always loved sports. I feel like such great stories are shared through sports and athletes. And you every now and then you see someone with this like just unhuman like levels of work ethic and motivation. It's like, what motivates Michael Jordan to go that fucking hard at putting a ball through a hoop? What motivates Kobe Bryant to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning for 20 years? Like, what motivates that? I think typically that does tend to come down to stuff like either in childhood or like things that have happened, like traumas almost. I think the other thing is inspiration. I remember a guest came on our show. He said people are motivated intrinsically by one of two things. One of them is desperation. There's a feeling, there's something or a void that they're looking to run away from. That's a deeply powerful motivator. The second thing is inspiration. There is this aspirational thing. There's this goal that they're trying to pursue. And so I think one of the things for me is I've become really passionate about it this year. I want to share this message with the world, which is I've just been paying attention for the last kind of like 6 to 12 months on like the media conversation and content, even like pop culture, podcast, like the whole thing. And even just speaking with like a lot of my friends and seeing what like young people are experiencing, whether that's like Gen Z or millennials. And I think the sentiment that I've heard from all of that listening is that we live in very bleak times. It feels like we live in very bleak times, whether that's like the affordability crisis, like things are so fucking expensive. Like the cities that we live in are really expensive. Rent is really high, gas prices, inflation, like just getting groceries at the store is really expensive. Or whether like we hear news reports all the day. We hear news reports every day about, AI is going to replace jobs. I saw a stat that 50% of Americans believe that AI will replace their job. So we face like really high costs living affording basic necessities. People feel uncertain in their jobs and like layoffs. We then also pair that with people are losing trust in like public institutions and government. I think I saw a stat, 67% of people believe that the American government is corrupt. 22% of Americans believe that government makes the right decision most of the time. So a small minority of people actually believe that government's making the right decisions. And that's not just even like a political thing. It's not the Trump government. Like that maintains across administrations. And so given that context and given that, you know, we live in a time where things feel very bleak for young people and like their future and their aspiration, I've become really passionate about the fact that like I used to look at pursuing your dreams or pursuing your delusional aspirations, pursuing your personal legend. I used to look at that as like it was optional, you know, like some people would do it, some people wouldn't. I've now come to the conclusion that it's actually like I don't see any other option. Like what other option is there than to connect with yourself, to learn about yourself, and then double down on what you're great at, on your personal legend, on the thing that you were meant to do. Like, I don't see any, like, what else is there? And so I think that we are in a time where there is a space and there is an opportunity for just like an aspirational message, like for it to come to be cool again, to be chalant, to care, to want to try things, to want to make things happen. And so I don't see myself, it's funny because I was watching like Marty Supreme and I think it has like a similar message, like someone who's like in a pursuit of their greatness, even though the character's so flawed. I don't see myself as like, I think that is a movement. I think Stay Delusional is like a movement. And I don't see myself as the face of that in terms of like being famous or like getting like public adulation. I just want to share a message with the world that I think is going to help people and be in service, especially for young people, of like, let's try again. Like, I don't know. It's so easy to become demoralized and like lose hope and kind of fall into the drudgery of like, well, I guess this is what it is. I can't afford an apartment. AI is going to replace what I do, and I have to do a job I don't like anyway. I think it's time for a different sort of message that like we live in a time where there's more opportunity than ever. If you can like believe in yourself, if you can make that decision, you know, that you're going to go all in on yourself and your abilities, because every single human being that's listening to this has genius in them, has something that they do to a spectacular level. The way that people talk about LeBron in basketball or Kanye West in music or, I don't know, a great painter, like we all have an inner genius. And so if my legacy is that through listening to the show, through watching interviews like the conversation that you and I have just had, that it gives people even just like one more drop of courage to go and pursue their thing, I will be very happy with that. Like that's something I want to share that. I want to give that to the world. So that's a big part of my my mindset and like my spirit and my intention at the moment is like stay delusional to the moon, you know?
Yeah, it seems very personal to you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's my story. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't like, it sounds nice to say that like, oh, stay delusional, oh, believe in yourself. Like that was my whole story, you know, like I went, I remember vividly when the show had no traction and I had no money. Like I would have like $40 in my account and I would like travel into New York to record episodes. And even when I would speak with people, they would be like, what do you do? I'd be like, oh, I do a podcast. And it's like this, you know, there's nothing there. And I'd be embarrassed. But I just kept believing in it until it worked. So like, I take that personally. Like I had to be delusional at that point in time to get to the point where I am at now, where, you know, we got 700,000 downloads last month. You know, we just passed 13 million downloads, 240,000 subscribers. Like, that wasn't my reality for a long amount of time. If anything, the majority of the time, no one has been listening. So I had to be delusional. Like, that's a personal message. Like, I lived that. I continue to live that. So, yeah, it definitely is personal.
Calum, it's been a pleasure. Definitely won't be the last time that you come on here, mate. So.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you for having
Thanks.
Thank you for coming on.
Of course, it was a pleasure. And thanks for having me.